Hello everyone, it's Nan from Hooked on Holistics. Thank you so much for tuning in to our channel, HOH Vibration. We appreciate your subscriptions and of course you liking, commenting on, and sharing our videos. This is quite a departure from the usual readings we would conduct at Hooked on Holistics here in Stony Creek, Ontario, Canada. However, so many people had asked me if I would predict the result of the US election 2016 that I finally relented and shuffled the deck of the Oracle de la Triade. So, here's what I have, a 15-card spread. The first row represents the mood, concerns, and wishes of the electorate. The second row represents the qualities and characteristics of the next presidential incumbent. And the third row represents other factors that may play into this election race. Before I continue, I must tell you that I'm not creating this video to sway anyone to vote a particular way or to not vote a particular way. I am not here to give you an opinion about any particular voting rights or what you should do on election day, or which candidate is better than the other. I have no opinion about these things because I'm not an avid enthusiast of politics to begin with. I only have some information about this US election race, enough to know who some of the candidates are and enough to know what some of the issues are, but by and large I feel that I'm not well educated or informed on the topic to render any kind of opinion, and so I don't come to this video with any kind of passion about this election. I'm simply here to report my interpretation of what the cards show, so I believe that you will get an objective interpretation as I'm completely neutral on the result here. So, the first row reflects the mood, concerns, and wishes of the electorate at large. Well, the first card says it all. It's Mutation, and there's a little box in the corner of that card that shows that the American people are striving toward a goal, but that goal is to come into more light, to come into a better living situation, to come into a country that we can be more proud of, and to rid themselves of the present uncertainties. And those uncertainties are reflected in the second card, Nadir, where there's a period of darkness that is looming over the horizon. And that darkness reflects joblessness, it reflects economic uncertainty, it reflects a disillusion of the values that the United States of America have been built on, and it reflects a need for world peace. So these are very important cards. The Meditation card, or meditation, in the middle of the first row suggests that there's also concern about relations with other countries, such as Asia and Israel, and generally any kind of world peace issues. So these concerns are also on the minds of much of the electorate at this time. The prayer card on the end, Prières, shows basically that there is hope, that we need to have a return to be not hopeless, but to be hopeful, that we need to have optimism, that we need to have that stability in the world as well as stability in our own country. So the electorate is very much in the mood, not just for a change, but for a radical change, because there are so many mounting concerns. Now, the second row shows the qualities or characteristics of the next President of the United States. Well, the first card is and it basically shows the picture of a man. This card does suggest that the next incumbent will be a male. However, it also could be a female with very masculine qualities or tendencies or behaviors, or someone who has a lot of that Aries quality, somebody who's got passion and leadership, and is not afraid to initiate, is not afraid to take the bulls by the horns and take a stance on very difficult issues. So while this card does suggest a male will become the next US president, it could potentially also be a female, but more than likely it is a male. Now, the next card, Papyrus, tells us a little bit more about this individual. And Papyrus has a deed or a scroll on it, and this suggests that there are deeds or property agreements. It could be leases, it could be anything to do with large organizations as well. So this suggests to me that the person who will become the next U.S. president has a lot of dealings with large corporations, real estate dealings, and so on. And that card is supported by the next two cards, which are Fusion and SCO, which is Seal. And the Fusion card suggests that there are a lot of relationships between people on a contractual basis, on a sort of commercial basis, on a basis where deals are sealed. And there are negotiations, and the seal also suggests that there are a lot of contractual issues and agreements involved in this person's life. So very much this could point to someone who has a lot of property, someone who has property as a commercial venture, somebody who is a builder, or simply somebody who's building an empire. So this is very much indicative of that. The SCO card, however, the seal card, also has, of course, the image that represents Israel. And so this could represent a person who has family ties to Israel. This could be in their own bloodline. This could be in the bloodline of anyone who marries into their family. But it essentially does flow through the family line in some way, or else there could be just a very close relations kind of feel to the people of Israel, and not only those in Israel, of course, but also those in the United States. And the Delta card on the end simply shows that this is a person who oversees large organizations, but a person who is in that stage of their life where they're no longer concerned with the material things. Those are now below them. They're more concerned about doing things for spiritual reasons. So the spiritual growth phase has come for this individual, where they're, not so concerned about the material aspects of life because they're set that way. They're all right. There's no material concerns. But they now want another challenge. They want a challenge to oversee something larger than they've handled before. It's not only a challenge, but one which would engender great pride. The third row shows a very interesting series of cards that will affect how this election continues from here on forward. And essentially, the first card, Eternité, means it'll seem like an endless road, but a long battle to the top. There are blue skies, but it is a long battle to the top. Now, whether that tower reflected in the Eternity card is going to be a Trump tower will remain to be seen. But essentially, judging from the next two cards, there's going to be very hard work. The next card is suffering, and the next one after that is forgiveness. So we really have a situation where during the remainder of the election race, there may be some backtracking on issues, on policies stated earlier. There may be a revisitation of the kinds of things that were said, and the various candidates may have to be putting out some fires regarding words that were spoken earlier, and you may see a revision in the way policies are expressed, or in the way their vision of being in office is expressed. So there are a lot of things that could still change. This is very much a turbulent and unsettled race, so it's going to be anyone's guess as to what fork in the road this election race could take. And even though we have all of this turmoil, the next two cards are very promising. They suggest that there is a blue sky coming out of that period of darkness. So that's the Omega card, the fairy tale ending. The happy ending, the ending that says, okay, we've gone through all this, now things are going to get better. And the last card, Richez, is wealth. And it not only shows wealth as coins at the bottom of the cornucopia, but it shows flowers, it shows fruit, it shows that basically we will reap what we sow, and that there will be abundance, there will be happiness, there will be a lot of love among the electorate in terms of how they see their beloved country from the election date onward. So this is my take on this in terms of who will be victorious. But what I would like to say is that I didn't get certain cards that reflected a female U.S. president. And I'll show you what cards I may have come across. So the first is the female card, which basically would point to a female incumbent. The other two cards in the deck that do sometimes show a feminine quality or represent someone who is maternal or someone who has feminine values or fights for women are these two cards, and I didn't see those in that 15 card spread either. And I didn't see any cards that would reflect someone that is a lawyer who is an incumbent. And those cards are Equite, which is balance, Ordre, which is order or justice, and Massage, which often is used to reflect a lawyer figure, among other things, of course. So those are cards I did not get. So that is what this spread shows now. Again, we'll shuffle the cards later on and find out what the update is, because as you know, the future writes itself, and we may see some interesting developments yet before November 8th, 2016. Thank you very much for watching, for subscribing and sharing our videos. And we ask that you're all blessed, particularly our neighbors south of us, the United States of America. We wish you well for this election and going forward, and thank you again.